Well, or that was the foxhole one.
That was the foxhole one.
This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. All right, welcome to everybody out there tuned in tonight on WBCQ, International Shortwave Station 5130. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable, and I'm Tom Medlin, W5KUB, and this is all about ham radio. If you ever want to know what ham radio is about, stay tuned in tonight on shortwave and join us. We'd love to have you. Also, if you have internet access, you can actually watch the show. Just go to w5kub.com and you can actually watch the show and join us in the chat room. I think tonight we're going to be opening up the phone lines, so stick around. I would love to hear from you. Even shortwave listeners would love to hear from you if you're listening on shortwave. We'll open those phone lines up in a few minutes. We've got phone lines in 65 countries that will allow you to get into the show tonight. Our net tonight, our 40-meter net tonight, the band wasn't too bad, but we didn't have many check-ins tonight. So don't forget about our 40-meter net on Tuesdays on 7180 at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. I think it's 2230 UTC. So please join us there. Also, if you want to, or hey, not if you want to, this is if you don't have this on your TV at home, you need to demand it. Go to W5KUB on Facebook and join the Facebook group, W5KUB. We have over 10,000 hams in that group now, and it's a fast-growing group. It's a very large group, and we have a lot of fun on there. Let's see. We got a few people out tonight. I know Bill is in the chat room. Bill Brown's in the chat room. He said he probably wouldn't make the video tonight, but that's okay. Katie is playing hooky tonight, so we're going to have to go find her, but she's playing hooky tonight. But that's okay. We're going to still have a great show tonight. And we've got with us down in Mississippi, down south of here, we've got Glen Popiel. How you doing, Glen?
Hanging in there, Tom.
Let me get you in here. Okay, there you go. Well, I still see Rich up there. Let me see what's going on here. Why is...
I see me.
Now I see you. It was just a delay.
Click that button to unfreeze me.
You know, it's so far down into Mississippi there that you just...
Well, it's that slow wireless connection.
I don't know what's going on. Let me see something. You're not,
I
don't have any movement on you. Hang on a second. Let's see what's going on here. This new Zoom thing isn't working very well for us. Okay, now you're not working there. Let me go to this button here. Let's try that button there. Let's see what that does.
That looks better, I think.
Yeah, if that message will go off. Yeah, now see you're moving now. So I just go out.
Moving.
I go out
and... It feels good not to be frozen.
Yeah, and it's not that cold down there, is it?
No, it's hot. It's been steamy hot all week.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. It has been hot here too.
And as you can see, I have my supervisor managing me tonight.
So. Well, that's cool. I need to get a lower third made for your supervisor. and put that on there. All right, well, I tell you what, we're just going to have a fun time tonight, and Glenn's going to help me have it because we usually have a fun time when Glenn's here. So let's jump back on over to Rich Mollison. It's W2VU, is that right, Rich?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know. My mind at this age is not doing real good. Sometimes people have calls like WV2U, but yeah, I get it right, W2VU. And Rich is the the editor of CQ Magazine, and he comes in here with us. Rich, say something so your screen will pop on.
All righty, very good.
There you go. I noticed you're not on the porch tonight, and you're not in the basement.
Tonight because the porch has been taken over by monarch caterpillars once again. So I've been removed from the porch.
Yeah. Well, is it hot up there too?
You know,
I mean,
it's been hotter up here than in Florida. I don't know about where you guys are, but it's been in the mid to upper 90s last week.
Yeah.
It was heat indexes above 100. So
yeah, it's like that too. I mean, I'm using the excuse now to just hire some people to do some yard work for me. Oh man, it takes a toll on you. All right.
The heat is. I don't know, if I wanted to live in the South, I would have moved to the South, not New Jersey.
You know, we're only 300 miles from New Orleans, or is it New Orleans? I'm not sure how to say that. We call it New Orleans, I think, down here. Anyway, 300 miles from New Orleans, and we get all that humidity from the Gulf that comes up here. In fact, it's pretty common. I mean, these hurricanes and all that stuff usually bring a lot of stuff up here to Memphis, just 300 miles away, you know. But it looks like this hurricane this week that went through down there maybe just kept going west, and it's kind of avoided us.
You lucked out on that one.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk about CQ Magazine and what all's going on next month.
Oh, we got another great issue coming up in August. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. We start out, well, first of all, I wanted to note that we're seeing a lot of signs that are suggesting that Sunspot Cycle 25 has begun in earnest. And we've got a lot of building number of amount of good info on that. And one of the news stories we have in the August issue is about a group of solar scientists who have come up with a prediction for Cycle 25 that is very much at odds with the generally accepted one of another weak cycle like Cycle 24. They think this is going to be a barn burner. So we sure hope they're right. Also want to welcome aboard, as of our September issue, our new contesting editor, Tim Schappa, N3QE. Dave Siddall, K3ZJ, decided after 5 years of doing the column that it was time to pass it along to someone else. So the August issue contesting column will be Dave's last, and Tim picks it up in the September issue, and he's hitting the ground running. So to say welcome to Tim and thank you to Dave. He's done a fantastic job. In the August issue, we start out with an article on Peanut for amateur radio. Peanut is an interesting thing that I hadn't heard about before I got this article.
Oh, I have. It's interesting. Tell us about it.
Well, it does a couple of different things. First of all, it's a way of bringing together different digital voice modes that don't normally communicate with each other. DMR and D-Star and P25 and things like that normally are incompatible with each other. And this provides a method for repeaters that use those digital modes to all connect with each other and talk to each other. It also allows hams who have severe antenna restrictions to communicate with other hams without the need for a radio or antenna. There are a lot of purists who say that's not real ham radio, but if you have no other options, it still keeps you in touch with other hams and keeps you as an active ham. So I've got no problem with keeping people active. We've got the results of the CQ Worldwide 160 meter contest earlier this year. Conditions were great. and so is participation. So we've got all that. We've got a review of the phaser transceiver kit from Midnight Design Solutions. That is a really cool little kit, very inexpensive, and it is primarily for digital modes like FT8 and such, but it will also do single sideband. And they're single band kits right now for a variety of different bands. And we've got a really comprehensive review of the kit, and we're building it. K0NEB, Joe Eisenberg, is going to follow that up in the September issue with his take on building the same kit. So it's a little different perspective. Our CQ Classic this month is really interesting. Back in, what was it, 1981? Let's see. 1980. Stu Gilmore, W1FK, wrote a piece for CQ called Amateur Radio, a Hobby for All Seasons, which talked about how ham radio had influenced his life and career choices up until then. And Stu has written for us periodically since then. And we were talking about this a few months ago, and I suggested that, why don't you tell us what you've been doing the last 40 years? So that's what we've got here. We have his 1980 article covering 1947 to 1980, and then he does a follow-up with a lot of very fascinating things that he's done for 40 years since that article. He's an amazing guy, as are so many people in this hobby. This is one of the things that makes ham radio great, is all the amazing people. We've got a project article for building an adjustable voltage add-on for your power supply by Phil Karras, KE3FL. With this circuit, he takes a 12-volt power supply and lets you vary the voltage on it to provide additional levels such as 5 volts if needed or things like that. Very cool project. We've got another recollection from the past by another one of our frequent authors, Bill Mankiewicz, W4FSV, writes about a vintage fox hunt or 2 hams and crash helmets. Got to read that one. Among our columns this month, our emergency communications column is about EMCOM abbreviations. In other words, you can't do anything relating to any government agency without abbreviations and acronyms. And so, since we work so closely with different government agencies on emergency communications, there's a whole raft of EMCOM abbreviations and acronyms, including EMCOM. So that's our column for this month on that, is explaining what some of the more common ones are. K0NEB's kit building column this month is titled Shields Up and More Building Time. A little more about his face shield project. And congratulations again to Joe for the recognition you got from the city of Lincoln for providing face shields that he's made with his 3D printer. And then he gets into a little more about what he's working on with the power supply and previewing his September column about the phaser. Homing in, our fox hunting column is about socially distanced radio fox hunting. Learning curve covers the difference between hollow state and solid state electronics. Hollow state, for those of you who are too young to know it, is a current day description for tubes or valves, if you're British. And Eric Nichols, KL7AJ, in Analog Adventures, talks to us about Gilbert cells. If you don't know what a Gilbert cell is, read the column. In antennas, we look at ground planes and gigahertz, not necessarily related to each other, but we cover what constitutes a good ground plane and what doesn't, plus some microwave stuff. Contesting, as I mentioned, it's K3ZJ's final column. He writes about a contesting QSL strategy for the fall season. And propagation, we're taking a look at coronal holes and how they impact propagation here on Earth. And of course, we're starting to roll on cycle. And that's a preview of what's coming up in the August issue, which will.
Well, that's cool. Let me see if I can get me in a picture here with you. That'll kind of work. Hey, you know, one of the things that interests me.
This promotion is still going on, so if anyone's interested in signing up for a subscription and saving a few bucks in the process, you can go to our website at www.cq-amateur-radio.com. Click on the subscribe here button, and you'll get all the details. The Summer Madness special.
All right. Well, you know, one of the things that you mentioned there was the variable power supply. And I have pulled out plans, and there's all kinds of new solid state devices now that make it to build that so easy. And my plan is to put one together. We do little projects on the show from month to month, and one of the things I want to do is put together a little variable power supply, not a high current, but maybe a 1 or 2 amp that goes from like 1 volt to 30 volts. And I have one here that I built probably 20 years ago, and I want to tell you, it is probably one of the most handy tools that I have here as far as, I'll call it test equipment. You know, I'm building the little super tracker, not super tracker, but these little miniature trackers, and you know, they run on a voltage of like 2.5 to 3.5 volts. And you know, where are you going to find a power supply that runs something like that if you don't have a variable supply? So it's just really cool to have a variable voltage power supply. You can hook to different things and crank that voltage down to wherever you want it. And you can also have current limiting built into them. And it's just a neat little thing. And I think we're going to do one on the show here pretty soon if I can ever find some time to make one. But
that sounds really cool. This is a little bit of a different project because this is adding that capability to an existing
right.
power supply. He's got, starting with a classic Astron power supply.
Yep.
His garage, and looking for ways to get a voltage other than 13.8 out of it.
Yeah, and typically, I mean, you can do that and add variable adjustments to that supply, or you can build from scratch. And
it's a tiny little thing he's put together here. I would show it to you, but I just have a fax of the article here.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I've got the Astron supply here too, the 35 amp supply, and but the one I have is variable. They make one that's not variable, but by adding the circuit you're talking about, you can make it variable. I'd be interested to see the article to see if he makes it a high current variable or just a low current variable, because most of the projects we work on, we need just low current variable supplies to test things and run things.
I think it's low current. Actually, he uses a buck converter, 8 amps, 200 watts, 8 amps. So it depends on your definition of high current.
Yeah.
So,
okay, well, it'd be interesting to see what he does there, and we will be doing one on our show here, and we're going to make a very compact one, very small, that you can put on your workbench and not have to worry about, what am I going to do if I need 2.8 volts? You'll have it here in the shack. So I like building projects. I've always built homebrewed stuff all my ham radio life, and there's some good articles that come out in CQ magazine with things like that, and they're very interesting. I don't throw a single CQ away. I've got stacks here probably 5 feet high, and I can go back, 6, 7, 8 years ago, pull out that year and just start flipping through them, and I'll see projects in there that I might not have been interested in at the time, but it's something that I might say, well, hey, this is interesting. Let's do it now. So don't throw your CQ magazines away.
That has fascinated me in the research that doing for our CQ Classics every month,
Mm-hmm.
75th anniversary year here, is going back and looking at some of the issues from the 40s and 50s and 60s, and seeing projects in those articles that are still as relevant today as they were when they first appeared. And there's one group of articles that I'm hoping to have space for this year, and if not, I'll get it into next year somehow. Unfortunately, it's long, so it's 2 articles together about the grid dip oscillators. Very, very handy devices, and I'm not real sure that there's a current day equivalent. But
you're not real. I missed it. You're not real sure there is a what?
Current day equivalent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. There are some adapters that you can make and put onto some of the antenna analyzers to do a grid dip function. But if you're looking for a self-contained grid dip meter, I don't know that there's any out. There may be some out there, but not very popular. But it's a neat tool to have.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for sharing with us CQ for next month. I'm interested in getting that and looking at it. And you're welcome to stick around with us tonight. I don't know where we're going to go with this tonight, but yeah, well, it's already starting there. There's Professor popped up right there. You're welcome to stick around with us or leave anytime you want to. Thanks again, Rich, for coming on.
A little bit.
All right. Well, let me give you guys an update for those that maybe have missed it. Our balloon went down last week between Greenland and Norway. It had been stuck in the Arctic region for about a couple weeks, just doing loops. It was pretty bad watching it, So it came down last week, but it had stayed up for 72 days and had circled the Earth 3.2 times. My guess is 0.2. I don't know. So that was the goal of our show, to send up a balloon and get it around the world. Those that have been following, and we started this about a year ago. Bill launched our very first balloon for us with just a single silver party balloon, a little 3-foot silver party balloon, and one of his trackers under it, and it made it all the way to Japan, and then it went down in a storm. And so we had 8 more attempts after that to get around the world. Each time we'd do a little better. We'd crash in Morocco, or we'd crash in, off the Azores, or in Spain. And we crashed in Poland. And of course, the Polish Ham Club, Bill was able to get in touch with the Polish Ham Club, and they actually went out and recovered our tracker. And then we finally, on number 9, got lucky, and it takes a lot of luck. It takes persistence and luck to get around the world. But we made it around the world 3 times. There are people that have done it many more times than that with the same balloon, and then there are people that have not so great results like we've done. We've flown a number of the SBS balloons, the big balloons. The big balloon launch that Bill mentioned last week across the United States, they launched 12 balloons last week. Only 2 of them made it past about 2 days. That's how, I don't know, how few a percentage actually stay up. Only 2 of them stayed up. I think they're still up. 5 of those balloons were the big SBS balloons, the expensive SBS balloon. 5 of them were. And out of the 5, only 1 stayed up. And that's about the same average that we have had with the SBS balloons. We probably have 1 out of 5 that we've been able to really fly long distances. Now, Joanne was on our show here a few weeks ago, or a few months ago. KM6, I think is BWB, out in California, as a STEM project, and she's launched a few balloons. She launched last week in the large balloon launch. She launched a simple 2 of the 36-inch silver party balloons. 2 balloons tied together like this, and one of Bill's trackers under it. And you know, that's a small balloon, small gas, and it's prone to hit storms. And she's been very lucky to miss any storm that would take her down. I just checked on her today, and she has made it now past Japan. So she is now in the Pacific, heading toward California. So these little two party balloons are carrying Bill's tracker, and we hope and we think it looks like it could make a revolution around the Earth. So it's just it's really interesting to try different balloons and different things, and we're going to continue experimenting. In fact, we've got an experiment coming up with a balloon here in a couple weeks. I'm working on the tracker now. Bill's helping me try to troubleshoot some problems I've got with the voltage. But everybody tells me it can't be done, or if it is done, it's only done for a few hours, and that is to put a battery on it. Because at minus 70 degrees centigrade, stuff stops working. Batteries typically stop working. Now, I put this thing all together and tried to design various different aspects into it to try to get it to work up there. Now, you need a warmer battery to charge. If it gets too cold, it will not charge at all. It will still, I think, continue to discharge, but it won't charge. So we're going to be flying anywhere from minus 40 to minus 70 degrees Celsius. And we did some tests with the LiPo battery here in the shack last month. And we were charging that battery, and we took that battery down to minus 70 degrees, and at minus 40, it quit charging at a minus 40 degrees. So I thought, well, that shoots that down. But I started thinking, let's give this a try. You know, you don't know what you're going to get until you try it. So we're going to try a launch with a battery. Now, this battery is sized to give us 24-hour tracking. You know, we've got about 8 hours a day of tracking with sunlight through solar. And I didn't want to put a little battery on there to get 4 more hours. You know, 8 hours to 12 hours, to me, that's not worth it. I wanted to go 24-hour tracking. So I've put this outside under a tree out here, and I've let it run for the last couple of days. And it is actually providing 24-hour tracking. The sun is charging it. It's discharging over the night and recharging the next day. So we're getting 24 hours. Now, we probably won't get all that up at those cold altitudes. But one of the things that I've done is to take some precautions to try to get some solar heat into that thing. And so, you know, we've got parts that are painted black to absorb sunlight. Also, I noticed that these solar cells I'm using, these little flexible solar panels, get very hot. And I measured the temperature on top of one of the panels after just a couple minutes out in the sun, and it was up to 155 degrees. You could put your hand on it, it would almost burn you. So I started thinking, okay, if we mount that battery on the back side of that solar panel, well, the heat will conduct into that battery. That will help us heat that battery. So, so I've done that. I've measured a temperature differential on top of the solar and under the solar. And Actually, I've taken temperature of just the temperature in the air near the tracker and get one number, and I put the temperature probe under the solar panel, in between it and the battery, and I'm seeing about 70 degrees differential. So it's 70 degrees hotter underneath that panel than it is out in the open air. Now, where's that going to bring us? I have no idea. You know, the temperature differential might be about 42 Celsius. So if we're flying in a minus 40 area and we take 42 degrees difference, the battery could be a +2. That's still pretty cold. So I don't know. We're going to try it and see how it works by heating the battery, and see if it will work here for us. So, and we've got a surprise. You know, we always have surprises about what we're going to do. Now, hey, this balloon. Let me tell you, this balloon, it's going to be heavy. The battery that we've chosen, the capacity of battery we want. This battery weighs 12 grams, and the entire tracker, solar panels, regulators, everything is only about 18 grams. So we're almost doubling the weight. So I felt like we need to go with the bigger balloon that handles more volume, more hydrogen volume. And the spreadsheet and the calculations show that this balloon should take a 30-gram payload to 40,500 feet. So that's where it should float, at about 40,500. So that's good. It'll get us more over the storms. So we're going to use the big balloon. We're going to use hydrogen for the extra lift. We're going to try to fly over the storms. Again, this is an experiment to see if we can go 24-hour tracking. So if we can go a week, or if we can go 2 weeks, and get 24-hour tracking, that's what our goal is. Now, this thing could have the capability to fly for a month or 2 or 3. I don't know, you know. The only difference is it's heavy. It's not any different than the one that just went 72 days. So the only difference is the weight. You know, 15 grams versus 30 grams. And we start talking about 15 grams, that's not very much. Bill in here can probably tell us how much 15 grams is. I think that's about the weight of 3 nickels, 3 U.S. nickels.
Well, you know, if you left off their lifeboat that they had this time, that'd about make up for that 15 grams.
Yeah, it would. And on the next flight, we might consider just having the rescue planes drop a life raft in the vicinity and make them swim to it, you know? Yeah,
I mean, heck, you know, make them work for it.
We may have to do that, you know. So, hey, I want to say this too. I want to thank everybody out there. Somebody in Facebook said, well, there's been so many people enjoying this. They said, I hope you ask for some donations to help you on next launch. I normally don't ask for any money or anything like that, but we've had so many people have so much fun with it. I did post that if you want your name put on the balloon page as a sponsor and a team member, if you'll make a little donation, your name's going to go on that page with that balloon. So we've had some good results. We've had some people that have donated, and I greatly appreciate that. If you hadn't donated and you wanted to, just go to the website W5KUB, and up in the menu there's a donate button. Just hit that donate button, and it's PayPal, and you have different ways you can donate. But look, this is hard times for everybody in the world right now. A lot of people don't have jobs. Hey, if you need the money to buy food for you and your kids, please buy the food. Don't donate for this balloon. We're going to make it okay. But for you know, for you guys that got money buried in a backyard, if you want to donate, we'll take that and we'll put you down as a team member. Now, so, you know, we did something that nobody else has done before, and that was have 3 ants that actually were able to fly this balloon for 72 days. So they're wondering, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? Now, I'm going to show you a little video. This might be a, it could be a hint of what we might do. So watch this video closely and watch it about, watch it about 20 seconds in, and you're going to see everything that's possible. So let me see if I can get this video on. Here we go. Everybody.
There has been some concern about the ants on this past flight, and Bill suggested that you show the life raft photo that you have of them.
Okay, I can pull that up in a minute. The ants did make it safely back, and we do have a picture that the rescue plane took as they flew by the life raft. I want everybody to watch this video. This is a hint. This is giving us some ideas of what we can do. Now watch closely. You don't want to miss this. It's probably 10 or 15 seconds into the video. So let me get this going here. Make sure I got everything working. So everybody stand by. Here we go. Let me go over here.
右上角关注点一下，谢谢大家。
All right. So, what do you think, man? What do you think? Glenn, are you there?
Yeah,
What do you think, Glenn? Did you get to see it? I think the camera might have cut a little bit off, but you did see what happened, right?
a little bit, yeah. I saw a parachute running across the ground.
You couldn't tell what it was?
I was being attacked in here. The
Oh,
monsters
man.
were wild tonight.
Oh, man. All right, just for everybody's benefit, we'll put it in one more time. Here we go. Here we go. Let me adjust this thing down a little bit here where you get to see the whole picture here. You may have missed this. Let's see. All right, here we go. Here we go.
跟飞机车辆一样，每天早上9点半开始直播。
That ain't no balloon.
右上角关注点一下，谢谢大家。
All right. All right. You got to see it that time, man. Okay.
And that's going to fit under 18 grams?
Well, we're going to have to. We have opened up training for chickens. I think the team did that last month. We have a concern about mixing crew, chickens and ants. That could not go very well.
Yeah, I'd be concerned about that chicken at 40,000 feet, too. It'd be cold.
Well, you know, and the chickens, we feel like the chickens might eat the ants, so we're probably not going to allow mixed, mixed crews. That's for sure. We're going to have to put the chickens on some type special diet. We can never fly anything that heavy, probably in our balloon.
Well, if you use about 4 of the SBS 13s, you can lift probably about 4 or 5 pounds.
No, they're good for about 50 grams. That's all. That's what the company tells me. 50 grams. So if we can get a little chicken that's 50 grams or less, now they'll still have to have the solar panels and everything. Yeah. All right.
It's going to be too cold. I mean, I shut down at 0 degrees. Minus 40, I'm sure they'd be shutting down.
Yeah, I posted that link, by the way, on our Facebook group, let's see, Facebook has basically blocked it with a message saying, what did they say? How it may be graphic and bad, you know. So they have actually put a warning on it and basically blocked the video out. You have to click on I understand it could be graphic to see it. So I'm not so sure what's so graphic about it, but you know, these chickens volunteer for this work, and I have nothing, you know, else to say. They volunteer and they know the risk. All right, here's what I want to do tonight. I'm going to open the phone lines up for everybody. Oh, let me. You wanted me to put the life raft picture up.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it real quick. I'm going to try. If I can make Facebook work here. All right, here we go. All right. It'll take me a minute. I got to scroll down. This is the quickest way I know to find the pictures.
Well, while you're doing that, if you want, I can share my screen and show you some of the stuff I've been playing with.
Well, hang on a second, because let's just do it all together here. I am anxious to see what you got there, but let me do this. I'll have it here in just a second. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So for those that haven't really followed, when it went down, people were real concerned about it, and it went down, and they were rescued. Actually, the life raft worked okay, and they were able to. All three were able to get in a life raft. Nothing major happened there. This is one of the pictures that the search plane took as they flew by there. And again, that's Huey, Dewey, and Louie right there. Most likely, they may fly the next mission with us there. I'm going to go ahead and post the phone number.
No time off?
What was that?
You're not going to give them a break and no time off? Just going to put them on the next flight?
Well, they're on R&R right now. They're in Hawaii. They got some time. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and open the phone lines. That way we'll get the phone lines open, and then we're going to go ahead and see what you got to do there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let me get the phone lines open. Now remember, people out there, we can take up to 1,000 simultaneous phone calls on this system. So please call. Welcome, join. What is this? Welcome. All right, let me start it again here. We don't have Katie here with us tonight, so things are a little bit, you know, not streamlined here.
Well, it's always that way when I'm around.
Well, you've been better. Yeah, you've done pretty good. We haven't had to find you. Fine. That's F-I-N-E, not F-I-N-D. We haven't had to find you lately. All right, what in the world
I couldn't
here?
afford it anymore. I got to write another book to be able to afford all these fines.
All right, so I'm bringing the phone system up.
I mean, if you want, I can entertain
No,
everybody.
I got it right here. I'm just not familiar with the screen. Here we go. I got it. It's working. So.
I mean, I can entertain them
Yeah,
real.
I've got it right here. Okay, so let me put the phone number up, and then we're going to go to you, and we're going to see what you got there. So let me get the phone number up on the thing here. Okay, phone number. I'll tell you what, I need bigger camera shots here. Phone lines open. There we go. Okay. There's a phone number. Hey guys, if you want to call in, dial in to 712-775-7270. There is a code with a hashtag that you'll have to put on there. For you guys out there on shortwave listening, I'll I'll give that number out and the code in a minute. So get you a pencil ready so you can write it down if you'd like to call in. I'll announce it later. All right. So what do we got, Glenn? What you got a new toy?
Yeah, we're just exercising the cat right now. But yeah, let me share the screen here, assuming I don't get mugged while I'm doing it. All right, how's that? Is that showing up?
It's showing up, yes.
Okay, good. I just finished the review for this. This is the new Arduino Pioneer Edition, and it's basically a little starter training set for the Arduino. It comes as a little kit, and that's the completed assembled version, and it's got an LED light stick, 3 pots, 3 LEDs, a buzzer, and 4 push button switches, and you can use this to learn the Arduino, create some basic sketches, and it's just a really good starter system. And then they followed that up with what they call their Explorer Edition, and you can see it's a little bit bigger board. It's about the size of a postcard, QSL card, and it's got a graphic display, the 8 RGB LEDs, some push buttons, and the pot. And here's what the assembled board looks like. It's got Bluetooth on it.
Wow.
Little prototyping area, solder prototyping area. And when you and Rich were talking about the DC to DC converters, that is a 2 to 24 volt based on whatever your input supply is. It's adjustable. DC to DC converter at 3 amps. So there's the little kit that you were talking about wanting to build that actually comes on this board fully assembled.
Yeah, you know, my problem is not building the hardware piece of it. My problem is getting those files in the right folder in the right place, man. And I know this sounds like it should be easy, but for me, it's not.
The thing is, you're overthinking it.
Well, I know I probably am, you know.
It's a very simple process. You're trying to treat it like an installable PC driver, and it's not. You just put the files in a folder, in the libraries folder, and it's all automatic, and the IDE is smart enough to find that stuff.
Yeah.
And invariably, people try to install it, and there are multiple ways to install Arduino libraries. They've got an install from zip file now and a few semi-automated methods. I still prefer to do it the old way, but that's really the issue. People tend to overthink everything on the Arduino, even me, and it all boils down to think simple, the easiest way, and anytime you get stuck, odds are you're overthinking it. And let me come back here, and well, first of all, we'll start with this. This is the Pioneer, and you can see it actually is a shield that stacks up on top of an Arduino. Let's take it apart here, and it actually stacks on it. And I just turned in the review for this to QST yesterday, so it'll be coming out soon. And this is the one I'm working on now. This is the Explorer Edition. You can see it's a little bit bigger. And there's your DC to DC converter, your graphic organic LED display, your prototyping areas, and it even has a nano that comes with it on the board. So it's a fully complete and functional board, but it also has the ability to stack on top of an Uno. If you wanted to use the Uno instead of the Nano, you can just stack it on the bottom there. So this is kind of a really cool all-in-one learning and development platform. I like it for the Bluetooth because in my next book, I'm focusing on technology such as Bluetooth. I don't think there's really good Bluetooth products out there, or books and understanding of Bluetooth with the Arduino. You can dig through the internet 100 times and not really get the information you need. That's one of the things I'm planning to target.
Well, that looks really good. If I ever can find some time, I may get one of those Glenn. I would have to go back to find time. I'll have to go back to work. You know?
I know.
You know.
You know, here I am. I'm working from home, and I still don't have any time to do anything.
Yep. I know it. There's not enough hours to do the fun stuff.
There's not. I mean, I'm generally up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and before I know it, it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
And you know, then it's, you know, go back to work, and next thing I know, it's dinner. And see, I'm kind of on a rush deadline now. I've got a couple more QST reviews and articles to turn out, but we want to finish my next Arduino book here by Thanksgiving and have it in the pipeline so it could possibly be out in time for Dayton. And,
yeah.
I'm focusing on Bluetooth and some of the technologies I haven't worked with in the past. Let me get something here real quick. This is going to be one of my next projects. We've all seen this at some point, and this is that MFJ beacon monitor.
I have one of those.
Yes, and we've all seen it at some point.
Yeah.
When I first saw this, I thought it would actually had a receiver in there and tell me what it's hearing so I could tell that the bands were
Well,
open.
I did too, and found out it doesn't, right?
Well, I can tell you very soon this one will.
Well, that's cool.
I'm going to be replacing the board and the LEDs here because these are just single color red LEDs.
Right.
I'm going to be replacing them with red-green LEDs, and it's going to have a receiver board in here, probably for 20 meters, although you can pretty much select the band. And then it's going to actually listen to the beacons that are associated with these LEDs, and if it hears that beacon, it will turn the LED green. And if it's a super strong signal, not only will it turn green, because there's 2 levels on the beacon.
Yeah.
If it's a really strong signal, it'll actually start flashing it green, so you can actually see what the band conditions are worldwide from your location without having to go on the internet and looking up all the spots and things of that nature.
For those people that don't really know what that is, that's what's the name? What's that called? It's got a beacon.
It's the MFJ DX beacon monitor.
All right.
The MFJ 890, and it's got an atomic clock built in.
All right.
And
So
what it does.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, look. Hey, guy. I thought it had a receiver. You know, I think everybody thinks it has a receiver, but it doesn't.
No.
And you
No,
know
what it is. Go ahead.
Okay, so what you do, you've got these little lights like Glenn was showing you there in all these different countries, and this thing is synced with an atomic clock where this little time slot, this transmitter, say in Africa, transmits on 20 meters. So that light comes on, and you know that it's transmitting from Africa, and then what you have to do, you have to turn your radio on and tune to that frequency and see if you hear it. And then if you hear it, then you know that the signal is getting from Africa to you. So, but Glenn, you tell us more about, you're putting a receiver in there where the receiver is actually going to hear the beacon. Is that right?
That's correct. It's going to actually listen on the frequency. It's like 14,100 something.
Yeah.
And it transmits 2 transmissions per location, and it's on a timed rotation. Like, you know, at the first part of it's like on a 2 or 3 minute rotation, and on the first transmission, it sends a short low power signal and a long high power, you know, twice as long, and it's just a CW tone. And you listen to for which tone and compare it to the light, and that tells you the bands are open to that part of the world. And it rotates through all of these beacons, you know, in about 3 or 5 minutes. They actually have an internet site that tracks this for you. Just do a search for a DX beacon monitor, and it will actually, there's a website that does it, but you know me, I'm old school. I don't want to do a website. I want it in a box sitting on my desk that I can look up at.
Yeah.
So,
What's the receiver going to be based on? What is it?
the one I currently have planned to use is one of the MFJ Vectronics kits.
Okay.
And I'm looking to do it for 20 meters, although I've talked to Martin about it. And he seems to agree that we can just play with the filtering on it and turn it into an all-band monitor, because that beacon network works on, let's see, it looks like 20, let's see, 20, 17, 15.
Yeah. Well, you know, I tell you, I mean, maybe when I've tried it, propagation has not just been great, because very few times when that light's on, I've actually heard the signal, you know, on the radio. So I think it's going to take a really sensitive and selective receiver that you can use with that.
Well, we're going to try it and see.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like I say, that's, to me, that's the whole thing about the Arduino, is finding a challenge and going for it. You know, it's, anybody can make lights blink, and that was one of my initial attractions about the Arduino, was all of the sketches just blink lights and stuff, and I'm like, I want it to do more than blink.
It will do a lot. I mean, here's an example right here. There's your Arduino, the 328P chip on there.
Yeah.
And you load this just like you do well, it's actually a sketch, an Arduino sketch, and this is a tracker that we're flying right there. And it's amazing to think that this little bitty thing right here can transmit 9,000 miles. It's just impossible to think that it can be done, but it can be done. Now, you know, as propagation changes, sometimes it may only transmit 2,000 or 3,000 miles, and it may go into just certain parts of the world. But somebody somewhere is going to hear it. And Bill has done this, and I'm thinking of trying to copy it. This is only 10 milliwatts that we're flying. And I would like to bump it up to, say, 50 milliwatts or maybe 100 milliwatts if it doesn't take too much, you know, current to do that. I think, you know,
at altitude, do you really need 50 milliwatts? That's going to be a lot of drain on your battery.
Well, it may be, it may not be. I mean, I don't know yet, but I'm going to experiment with a little PA that I'm going to build up. Probably can build one up with 3 parts. And if I use surface mount components, they probably wouldn't weigh 1/10 of a gram. And put a little PA on here that will run like 100 milliwatts. And that ought to make it get out better. Because you got to also understand, this little 10 milliwatts is competing with everybody else down on the ground that's running 100 watts. And some people run a lot of power. I saw a guy on Facebook the other day, he's complaining he burnt out his 1,000-watt expensive tuner. And he doesn't know why. He was running FT8, and he was only running 800 watts on FT8. And his 1,000-watt tuner, I mean, he took the top off of it, and it was just about caught on fire inside. And of course, FT8 is a full carrier, you know, signal, and it's on for a long time. And if he just opened his manual up, he would have saw FT8 or digital modes. They recommend not going over 350 watts with that 1,000-watt tuner.
Well, FT8 is key down for like 48 seconds.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's like an AM transmitter. You carry that whole 48 seconds.
All right, stand by a second. We'll be right back, everybody. We'll be back. I got to do this. Get out and be active with ICOM's new IC705 and its optional multifunction backpack. The IC705 is your perfect QRP rig, as you have base station features at the tip of your fingers in a portable package covering HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at just over 2 pounds with RF direct sampling for most of the HF bands and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. And it has a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with a live band scope and waterfall. Additional features include 5 watts with the BP272, 10 watts with 13.8 volts, SSB, CW, AM, FM, as well as D-Star. It has a micro USB connector and Bluetooth, integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger. It has a micro SD card slot. The HM243 speaker mic comes standard, and it supports QRP operations. The perfect accessory is the optional backpack. It's the LC192. It has a special compartment for your IC705. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios. And don't forget, you should register for QSO Today's groundbreaking virtual ham expo. This expo will be filled with virtual exhibits and great speakers, all from the convenience of your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Visit QSO Today, hamexpo.com to register.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast, proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
Okay, we are back, and hey, let me give this phone number out for any shortwave listener out there. I told them a few minutes ago, grab your pencil, paper, because you're going to have to write this down. If you'd like to call into the show, if you'd like to.
This is the 21st century. We don't use paper. We don't use pencil. You use notepad on your iPhone.
Well, I don't know about that. Okay, so here, however you do it, you can.
This is how I do it.
Well, however you want to do it, there's many ways you can do it. A chalkboard, write it in the sand. Here's the number: 712-775-7270. I'll repeat it: 712-775-7270. Once you connect into the phone, you will need to enter this code. The code is 407051 and hit the hashtag or pound sign. That code is 407051 hashtag, and that will get you in here. So let's see if we can get a shortwave listener to call in. I'd just love it. Just tell us where you are and if you're listening to the show. So we're back, and we've got Russ on the phone. Hey, Russ, how you doing?
Well, good evening, Tom. I have listened on shortwave, and sometimes at the same time, but in Iowa right now.
All right. Well, what have you been up to, Russ?
The interesting show tonight. I was speaking with Glenn a little earlier, and he made a good statement on the Arduino. I had been doing a lot of things with the Raspberry Pi and ham radio, and learning how to program it and getting it actually to work. And then I went to the Arduino simply because of Farn's, BitX, Micro BitX, and I've got what's his analyzer, Arduino. Yeah, the same type of code, and trying to code them in and having a heck of a time with it, trying to figure out these libraries and such. And finally it dawned on me, Glenn's right. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. It was so much easier than Raspberry Pi. It was unbelievable. So I want to thank Glenn for mentioning that, and anybody listening, pay attention to him. He's talking the right thing here.
No. You have done the most wrong thing you could possibly do, and that's to admit that I'm actually right. Now, it will take me years to live that down.
I'll tell you, if you would have a forum, if you would just have a forum and say, what we're going to teach in this forum is how to put the files in a folder and make Arduino work, you'd have probably 1,000 people in there.
Actually,
And I know it's in the book. I know it's in the book, but nobody reads the book.
I'm about to blow your mind.
All right.
Remember these two things.
Wait a minute. Pull them in a little closer. Let me see what they are. Pull them in. Oh, yeah,
These
yeah,
are
yeah.
The two projects. They come with a complete Arduino training course. And that course also includes a whole section on libraries.
Yeah,
And
okay.
The assembly instructions for these things are like 100 something. Actually, the Explorer's got 154 pages in the assembly manual. It is a detailed step-by-step, and at least 4 pages or so are devoted to installing the libraries.
So what they need to do up front is say, if you just read any part of this book, be sure to read this section only.
Well, here's the funny thing that I found out when it comes to books in general, and in my case, the Arduino specifically. Nobody reads the book. My first 8 or 9 chapters I call foundation material, and it's all introduction and learning material. Nobody to this date has read those pages.
So
they go straight to the project they want to build and build it, and then when they get hung up, they email me.
They look at the diagram, they look at the wiring diagram, and then they download the sketch, and then it doesn't work.
Right, and then I get an email.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, invariably it is, and I say, wait a minute, that is on page X in chapter 6.
Yeah.
And the response is, oh, I never bothered to read that stuff. Who needs to read the book? I want to build it. I want to make it work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I mean, it's just one of those funny, observations in life, because to me, that's the most valuable part of the book. But everybody wants to build the project so fast, they don't want to learn. They want to build and go, which is kind of cool.
Well, look, man, if you're a guy, and most hams are guys probably, there are women, but I know most guys, if you get the bookcase kit or the coffee table kit from the store and you take it home and put it together, you don't need to read the manual. Man, you just start putting bolts and holes and just,
No. Manuals are for sissies.
That's right.
So, yeah. I mean, if you have to read the manual, you have just lost face in the eyes of the world.
Well, I got a couple more comments, and then I'll let you guys go if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I had them written down here. I got a question for you, Tom, or both of you, I guess. On the website DX listings, I like the idea of you being able to pick up those DX on your own antenna at home. How many times have you seen, here's a DX thing, and you try it, and you can't even hear the stations calling the DX station, let alone, in the highway anyway, in the central United States, let alone anything else. So you're kind of wasting your time. This way, when it lights up, my antenna heard that, so I'm
exactly.
able to get
that was my thinking behind the whole project.
Yeah.
I love that idea. The other one was, question, well, I guess for both of you guys. When you were using the Mylar balloons, now those are like a foil, so they are conductive. Have you thought about using part of them, the actual balloon itself, as part of the antenna?
No, not really. I don't know. You'd have to actually somehow fix the wire. I mean, the antenna that we use is.
It's also, it's a small size.
It's 34. It's 34 feet long, and it's very small wire. I don't even know how you'd attach it to the balloon to make it.
You could wrap the wire around the neck and come up with a way to make contact, but.
I think that's just not going to work. Hey, someone asked in the chat room, will we put an SD card on the balloon and put everybody's name on there that donated, for it. If you guys want to do that, we can do it, but I am not going to put my name on it. because one of my friend's balloons came down in Russia, right over a Russian military base. And I'm sure they're looking it over really close right now. So I'd prefer not to have my name on it out there. I might put Bill's name on there in case somebody finds it, they can return it to Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that was hilarious. I hated to laugh over you, but I couldn't help
That's
it.
all right, man.
That's about all I had, Tom. Oh, except for one thing, just a quick thing. Dave Casper, when you subscribe to him, you become an Augie. Okay, you're the Amateur Radio Roundtable. So if we subscribe to you, would be an ARG.
Yeah, ARG. A
Pirate.
Radio ARR. ARG. You guys are Argies out there.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I
All right,
doubt
we'll let
any,
you go.
that's
Thanks
you know.
for the show tonight.
You know, I always wanted to find something small for like a logo or something, but the name is so long, Amateur Radio Roundtable, it's so long, and I've looked at the initials, you know, ARR, and I've even played with those a little bit, but nobody knows what ARR is. But hey, that's a good point, Russ. You could be an ARG. Yeah.
There you go. We'll start making up the banners and such right now, and so we'll have them all ready for you. And by the way, I'm gonna donate to the balloon cause too. So
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
We'll
Hey, Russ, I'll be sure and put your name on it, on the balloon.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, on the balloon. Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll drop the SD card over Russia about the same time we drop the
That's
chicken.
right. Or hey, we can drop it in North Korea. You know, I mean, in fact, Joanne's balloon, I think yesterday, or the day before, went right over North Korea. I don't know how that worked out. I guess we'll find out if the geofencing code worked properly, or if you know, they come after her or something. You know.
Okay. Well, I'm getting out of here before I get in any more trouble. Thanks, guys.
All right, man.
Please.
All right. Well, we're not getting many calls tonight. Okay, guys, the phone lines are open, 712-775-7270. The number's on the screen. Give us a call.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
when we do this R thing,
Yeah.
do we have to start wearing caps with skull and crossbones and stuff?
I don't know. You know, that's a good point, too. That kind of goes along with it, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you know,
Yeah. I don't know if that's the kind of logo. I don't know if that's the kind of logo we'd want, you know, for our show, you know.
But anyway, but that was the one thing that I did like about these two products is they come with a boatload of training and learning material. They're really set up well for the beginner. And one of the things I have always been looking for and wanting to find was a really good introductory kit and tutorial on the Arduino, because most of that material is 7-8 years out of date, and these are all fresh and current kind of stuff. So now somebody in the chat room suggested that we ask Katie for her ideas on the short name.
Yeah. Of course, we always sterilize our balloons before we launch them, just to make sure that we're not sending any COVA anywhere. That's on the checklist.
Now, Neil, that is one thing. I didn't see the ants wearing any kind of masks.
Yeah, I have a picture. I don't have it right now, but I had a picture. You know, people asked about the oxygen situation too. I do have them up there in the balloon wearing an oxygen mask. I'll have to pull that picture out.
I'm still wondering how you can get all the stuff that these guys had with just 15 grams. I mean, this is kind of like an episode of Gilligan's Island when they had.
Well, it's quite a bit smaller. In fact, that's why we picked the ants. Now, these aren't big red ants. You know, those big red ants. These are those little bitty black ones. You know. They're so small, man. You know, so we miniaturized everything here on a 3D printer. We even made a crescent wrench that the ants were able to use. You know.
So basically, you created the next chapter in Fantastic Voyage.
Maybe. Carpenter ants, yeah. Let's see.
Well, if they were carpenter ants, they would have found a way to build something to keep that balloon up for another 72 days. So if they were carpenter ants, they were probably carpenters about my skill level.
Hey, now Mark P. in the chat room, he's got a good idea about us. We could use the letters ARRL in our logo, Amateur Radio Roundtable Listener.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would...
I'm sure that'll fly really, really well.
Yeah. Let's see. So, you know, a lot of people didn't know we actually had 3 ants up there. I mean, the crew started off with 3 ants, and one stayed out of the spotlight most of the time. Huey and Dewey were always, in the picture. That was Louis that took the pictures. And Louis was actually a civilian that went on a trip. We were able to promote Huey and Dewey each time they made it around, but we didn't do it for Louis.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is that Louis was the one that had to do all the work.
Yeah, a lot.
You always got to make the civilian do all the work.
That's true.
I mean, hey, you've been in the military and stuff.
That's right.
All the stuff gets dumped on the civilian contractor to do.
Well, I'm not sure that's it. Well, yeah, well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe so. All right, look, I'm a little worried here. We got music playing. Listen.
That's because Katie's here, or Katie's
Guys,
not here.
that means nobody is calling in to the number. If you want the music to stop, you have to dial the phone number and join us.
See, they don't want to talk to me. They want Katie and Dave and
Yeah.
other people.
Well, Katie is playing hooky tonight. I didn't get a note back from her tonight, so the rules are you've got to check in. This is going to be an unexcused absence if you don't report in, 24 hours before showtime. All right, well, we've had some fun tonight. We'll probably end the show here in a little while. I'm anxious to see how my voltage calibration is working. Here it was cloudy most of the day, so we didn't get the batteries charged in the tracker, so I see it's going down pretty fast. But last night it ran all night on just the sun charge from yesterday. It did fine, so.
Well, it's supposed to rain and thunderstorms tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get much of a charge then either.
I'm kind of glad it is going down because that lets me see the voltage readings as the battery does go down right there.
Well, you're also going to need to implement some form of your reset timer.
Well,
Sure.
I think we've got a watchdog timer, but I think Bill did the code up. I think it has an issue, and maybe we disabled the watchdog timer. Now, here's the issue. It would be nice if this thing would only work 23 hours a day instead of 24, because that would mean if there was an hour where it would run out of juice, that it would reset. Anytime the voltage gets below 2.5, it resets. But if that battery holds it on all day and all night, it won't reset. So I think there was an instance on, I think it was this balloon, maybe the first month that it was flying, something happened and it was acting up where it was sending the call like every minute, and it's supposed to do it every 10 minutes. It was doing it like every minute. Something had messed up. And that night when it went to sleep about 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, when it went to sleep, it reset, and the next morning it all worked fine. So I think a reset is important. So I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna take a chance to see that we have no problems and take a chance to fly this thing 24 hours a day. Or if
I would say test it and be sure, because that could also mean there's a problem with your geofencing. and you definitely don't want that to happen. So I would darn sure make sure that all of the code is working as it should before you launch it.
Yeah, well, the only way to really know if the North Korean geocode works is to slip into North Korea. I mean, to test it. To test it.
I tell you what, if you put your name on the balloon,
and
flip into North Korea to get it, I can assure you that they will take care of you.
Yeah, I think that about the only way to really test it is to fly it over that country, man.
Better you than me. My call sign's not going to be on it.
Yeah, well, it might be. It might. You might be on the SD card, man. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll talk to Bill. I need to find out more about the watchdog timer. It would be cool if that was working, but not sure Bill has the answer for it at this time.
Yeah, at some point I'm going to want to dig into that code, but not anytime soon. I am absolutely buried in projects between now and November, and after then I'm probably not going to have anything. We'll just see. I'm just taking full advantage of I'm not locked down, but stay at home, don't go to work. I mean, they're talking about opening up the schools like the first week of August, and already certain districts are shifting that into the second and third week and September 1st. And I have no idea how that's going to shake out, but since I work in the schools, that affects whether I work from home or not. So right now I'm home every day until I'm told otherwise.
Yeah. We had a question in the chat room. Russ is asking, why is the payload so far below the actual balloon? Well, it's simple, Russ. We've got the payload, the tracker, and we have to have a 20-meter antenna on it. A 20-meter dipole is 34 feet long. And I have no way to hold a 34-foot dipole out in the air. So what we do is, from the tracker, we go 17 feet up to the balloon with a very light fishing line, and we run 1/2 the dipole up the fishing line to the balloon, and the other half of the antenna, the 17-foot, hangs below the tracker. So you actually have a 34-foot vertical dipole flying there with the tracker right in the center. So that's how we fly it.
Well, I finally caught my monster. She's been destroying the lab all night long. There are parts all over the floor in the lab.
Looking through the chat room. Marco, so isn't the sun always shining at 45,000 feet? No, I don't think so.
Well, it'll set and go low on the horizon and not get you a good angle on the solar panels.
I've flown near that a lot of times on a lot of trips, and it was dark outside.
I was just truly amazed, when this thing spent so much time above the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, now up there, what I was able to figure out by some research, the highest the sun got up there was 40 degrees. So, you know what a 45 is.
Yeah.
Or the 45. So the highest the sun ever got was about a 40, man. And for some reason, our panels and stuff that we use, it needs about 25 degrees sun before the tracker will even come on. And people say, well, why don't you tilt the panel a little bit? Well, it's not that simple. We're flying a panel that's horizontal. Let's say we tilt that panel 45 degrees. We tilt it. Well, this thing's hanging on a string. What if that thing turns around backwards? Now the panel's not picking up any sun. Or if it turns sideways, So I'm thinking that probably the panel is tilted a little bit, particularly if the balloon is moving fast. If the balloon is, say, moving east in a jet stream at 100 miles an hour, I've always thought that the payload may follow behind just a little bit. Now, everything up there is relevant. It's all going to be kind of moving at the same speed. But I still believe that that tracker that's hanging there may be trailing just a little bit. And if it is trailing just a little bit, that is going to put a little bit of angle on the solar panel as it travels. Now,
yeah, but if it's doing 100-something miles an hour, it's going to be fluttering and stuff, isn't
well,
it?
we don't know. You know, everybody says it's like it's in nowhere at all, that it's still. The balloon and the tracker is just still. But you know, I mean, you got to kind of. I said, let's be realistic. You know, there's some little currents up there, and
if it was perfectly balanced, you might have some stability.
There's all kinds of stuff going on up there. Believe me, man. And
100 miles an hour, you know, you've got all kinds of pressures and all sorts of things going on.
Yeah, you've got movement of the balloon and up and down and sideways and air currents that are blending into other air currents, because if you look at the maps, these things change and they go every different direction. A lot of them go into each other. I honestly think that there is some movement, but I do go along with the theory that for the most part, the balloon and the tracker seem like they're not moving. In other words, they're moving at the same speed. And therefore, you know, I don't know. So, but I think
you know that you're saying then that you're at a constant rate of motion, and I just don't see that.
Well, and I can tell you, you can watch it, and it may be doing 8 miles an hour 1 minute, 12 miles an hour the next minute, 4 miles an hour, 34 miles an hour. So, you know, it's constantly changing. So it's going to have some movement. Now, will it stabilize and will it just drop right back below at some point? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not up there, and we've not been able to get that information from the ants yet.
Well, I was going to say, next time, you know, put a rope on them and we'll just dangle Louie, you know, 20, 30 feet below the balloon, and he can take pictures of it all. And
if we do get that information, we might not want to share it, because that probably has, you know, a lot to do with, you know, national security and all that stuff, whoever figures this out.
Well, turn off the geofencing and just let the North Koreans send you the pictures.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, this last loop we went around North Korea, I thought we were going to head right over North Korea, and we went a little north. It looks like Huey or Dewey steered it a little north, and you know, the top of North Korea is kind of slanted like this, and the balloon actually stayed about 50 miles outside of North Korea, and it followed the line all the way up out to the water, and it completely missed it. So we missed our chance to try it. Now, I have a friend that used to work for me at FedEx that took a government contract, and he's in Korea right now. He's he's on a 2-year government assignment to Osan Air Force Base. That's the base I was stationed at in 1972. So he's actually there now, and I think a lot about that place. And he's on my email list, and I keep telling him I'm trying to send a balloon over Korea there for him, but so far we've not been able to get it quite over there. Hey, an interesting thing. I mean, it's been fun. The ride's been fun. I got a call. Well, I got an email a few weeks or a month ago from Japan. Fox News and all the news people carried this UFO over Japan. And people didn't know what it was. And I mean, you can look at it, you can tell it's a balloon. Someone took it from a jetliner. And I got a call. I got an email wanting to know if that possibly could have been us. Now we did enter the bottom of Japan, and we went through the entire country all the way up to the north, and then out. So we did cross it, but we crossed it 1 week before the UFO spotting. So I said, no, that was not us. Hey, this week I got a call from a lady in Michigan. I didn't have much time to talk to her, but she works for some company that identifies UFOs. And she was wanting my help. She had heard, you know, hams launch some balloons, and she was just wondering how high they fly, and they had a number of spottings of something. They didn't know what it was, and her job is to try to identify, was it a balloon, was it an aircraft, whatever. So I gave her a little information about our balloon size and so forth. But that's interesting. A UFO researcher contacted us. So I didn't tell her the ants were flying it or anything like that. I guess I should have.
Yeah. You probably should have. I mean, you've got to do full disclosure.
That's right, man.
And she probably has a direct number to the folks with the butterfly nets. I mean, could have solved everything all at once.
Yeah. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, I do think I've always wondered that with the number of balloons going up increasing, that sooner or later they're going to start to be seen a lot more, or, something of that nature, because there's just a whole bunch of them. Because, surely we're not the only country launching.
In one of the, I'm reading the chat room here, in one of the balloon forums, I've been reading, there's a guy that's a big ballooner, and he's thinking about putting servo motors on there, and you know how you could take your Arduino, and you can use it to pick up the sun and aim the panels.
Yes,
and
there are actually several.
Yeah, he's throwing out the idea of put some servos on there to the possibility to put servos on there to aim the tilt of the panels. The problem is, again, is there spin? If there's spin to it, that's not going to work. If there's movement, that really isn't going to work. But there are people trying all kinds of things like this right now.
You're going to need to have a 6 or 9 degree of freedom inertial measurement sensor, because if you're flying at an angle with the solar panels, you're going to have to adjust for the angle you're at as well, not just what the servo says.
Yeah, well,
you're going to have to know what angle you're at to figure out what angle you need to be at.
Yep.
And then Bill brought up a good point in the chat room. You've got the weight and the current drain to operate those servos.
Oh yeah.
Even the micro ones, they weigh a little bit. I got one over here. I think.
Russ says, get the Air Force to take some pictures at no cost. Well, I was in the Air Force. I think all my contacts are gone now. I'm not sure I could get a jet up here to find this thing.
This is a micro servo, and it.
Show me that again. I bet that thing weighs 3 times what our payload does.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like about 3 nickels, so it's going to be, about 15 grams or so.
Yeah.
And that's, you haven't added anything else, and then the current drain, that's going to be rather hefty for this.
Yeah.
I don't think you feasibly could do that. You'd have to come up with some sort of lightweight, inertial, mechanical type scenario.
Yeah. Hey, Spike said, let's retire the balloons. Time to launch the W5 KUB satellite. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to give out a whole lot of information. I'm in contact with, and they even want to maybe sponsor us, a small company that builds satellites. And so maybe we put a satellite up. I don't know.
Well, everybody's doing the moon bounce and the low orbit satellites. I think we ought to be the first to have a satellite orbiting Mars that we can bounce off of.
Hey, Glenn, how possible would it be to make a VHF or UHF little repeater, just a receiver and a transmitter, simple antenna?
Really.
that we could fly on a balloon. Now, I'm talking about keep the payload 50 grams or less.
Probably shouldn't be hard at all.
I don't know.
Digital mode.
The whisper is weak signal. You don't even hear it, and it detects it. I don't know how an FM signal would be. What it would take. What it would take.
Some kind would be the better solution. If you're going to try sideband or CW, that's going to be a big drain on the transmitter, even at 10 milliwatts.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a lot more solar panels and current capacity. Plus, it'll only work during daylight hours unless you put some hefty batteries up with it.
All right.
I mean, it can be done. I mean, look, we've got the satellites up there running off of solar power.
Yeah.
So surely we can do it.
Yeah. I'm just going through the chat room here. We've got a lot of discussion on all these topics here.
Spike, if you're going to say that if you don't hear the signal, it don't count, then you just need to stay away from all the digital modes. Because they're into the magic mode on FT8 and FT4. I'm convinced the signals really aren't there and they're just making them up. And it's using quantum physics so that the signal you think you heard here, the other guy thinks he sent it. And that's the way quantum physics works.
Put a camera in a balloon with live video. Well, Mark says, put a camera in a balloon with live video. Now, this is something that Bill Brown in the chat room, he's famous for all his high altitude balloons, and he's carried some very heavy payloads. Bill will have to tell you, but I think he's carried payloads like 6 pounds. I mean, we're not talking 15 grams, we're talking 6 pounds. And of course, he's sent cameras up, he's got nice pictures, and they do video. That's not what we're doing. We're flying the floater balloons, and our balloons won't hold a camera, to tell you the truth. And even if they did, with live video on 440, how many people around the world would actually pick it up? Let's say you had, 50 people watching for it. It may never even go over their area,
I think I'd rather see slow scan with a still shot, every so often on 20 meters.
Yeah, I wonder if you could, I don't know how many bits of data that would take, but hey, maybe there'd be a way to compress that and send a slow scan picture over whisper. Over whisper. What do you think, man?
Oh, that would take forever to send a picture over whisper.
It takes forever now just to send the call letters, man.
Yeah. Now, just send a standard slow scan signal. I mean, that can be done. I think you could probably send the whole, I don't know how long the frame is in slow scan. It's like 15 seconds or something. It's been so long. Can't remember.
Yeah. Bruce says, why not go with something like the Loon? That's the, Loon is what, Google? Or I think Google's the one who put that up. That's the balloon that flies up there about, I don't know, 120,000 feet. Actually, there's almost no wind up there, so it pretty much stays in one place. They do have some mechanism on there to actually steer it, and I forget exactly how they do that, but that balloon is being put up to provide Wi-Fi, I think, to people around the world.
Right.
And at that altitude, it barely moves. The wind is almost non-existent up here, and it barely moves. So that works pretty good. A couple of things we got trapped into. In this last flight, we got trapped into areas where the wind almost wasn't blowing. You look at the map, and it was like zero.
Yeah, when you went over Egypt the first time.
Oh, man.
Stay there.
Yeah.
Now, Bill mentioned something here in the chat room that he launched the first balloon ever with a 440 megahertz
Yep.
ATV and a live camera back in like 87.
Yep. Well, you see, I could put my GoPro in there, but I'd sure hate to lose my GoPro. And I know if I launch a balloon, a high altitude balloon that's going to burst and a parachute's going to come down, I'm going to lose my GoPro. These guys, when they chase those, I mean, by the time that sucker hits, 80,000 feet and bust or whatever, it may be 200 miles away from here. You got to really be tracking that thing and chasing it.
If you put it, if you tied it to one of the ants with, one of those leather shoulder straps or something, you got a better chance of it coming home.
Yeah, yeah.
But Bill's actually here. He says he's flown a slow scan unit, weighed about 3 ounces.
Yeah, 3 ounces. Convert that to grams. I think it's pretty good.
Well, Bill can do the ounces to grams faster than I can call up Google to do it.
Well, I can do it right here. Let's see.
It's sad. I don't do math anymore. I just click on Google.
Yeah, 3 ounces.
100 grams.
Is that what he said?
That's what he says.
Well, I'm told by the makers of the SBS 13 balloon it can handle 50 grams. See, Bill's talking about big balloons that, like weather balloons, I guess, they go up to very high altitudes. You see the curvature of the earth and all that. And I'll tell you something. It takes a lot of gas to fill one of those balloons up. You know, we can take a $70 bottle of hydrogen and fill up maybe 3 or 4 SBS 13 balloons. But you fill up one of those big suckers like one of those weather balloons, it costs, I don't know, Bill May can tell us, I bet you it costs $200 or $300 in gas just to fill that balloon up enough.
Well, you need to use hot air instead of hydrogen, and then I can fill it up for you, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, you could do what now?
If you use hot air instead of hydrogen.
Oh, hot air. Yeah, hot air. Okay, I got you.
I can fill it up in 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I'm looking at the chat room, see if there's anything else going here. I don't think we got any more phone calls, so we're probably going to just...
Solar balloons? I don't quite follow that one.
Yeah, there's solar balloons. Solar balloons basically is a black trash bag, and you leave the bottom open, and the sun will actually heat it up enough that it will take off.
Okay.
No,
so that's the new version of a hot air balloon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in college we did some of the little sacks with the little candle under them, and floated those at night, and then we got into making our own balloons and using the natural gas out of the Bunsen burner, which we got told by the dean of the school that we shouldn't be doing that.
Well, I was told a story 20, 30 years ago about a group of people that just happened to be hams as well that used those dry cleaner bags and floated them with candles over Birmingham, and they got all kinds of UFO reports and calls and stuff.
Yeah, and it would glow. In fact, that's what we did in college. We took 2 of those long clear plastic suit bags from the cleaners, and we taped them together, and we were filling them with we had a hose hooked to the Bunsen burner valve, there in the lab. And hey, back then, we could go over in the lab at night there at college. Nobody was there, man. I guess you could go over and do your experiments, and we'd just hook a hose up on a Bunsen burner valve there and fill it up. It would float, but it would float very slow. And I think what got us in trouble, I had a ham friend in Russellville that worked for the FAA. We told him about it. He contacted Little Rock, the main place in Arkansas, and told them to be on the lookout to see if they can pick it up. And then once they found out it's like 25 cubic feet of natural gas, for some reason they called the dean of the college, man. I don't know.
I mean, the things we did when we were young would probably give us life sentences if we did it today.
Yeah, I know it. I know, man. All right, boy, we have talked really long tonight. We need to close this down. I had a lot of fun with everybody tonight here, and let me close this phone line out. Nobody else is calling. We thank you, Russ, for calling. Russ was our only caller. All right, well, hey guys, 73 to everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We went really late tonight. I didn't realize how late it is.
We were having fun.
It's time to relax now. And just one last comment, and Kathy tells me this, and she's right. when I do the Tuesday night show, this is kind of like Friday night for me. Once the show is done, tomorrow's like Saturday. It's like the weekend is here, man. Oh, you get to rest, man. And then, you know, then you got to get back on it for next week. But we're having fun.
Yeah, for me, Monday and Tuesday are busy days, and then Wednesdays, you know, my sleep-in day after this, and then kind of coast through the rest of the week.
Yep. All right. Well, good night, everybody. Again, good night. We enjoyed it. And we will see you next week.
Night, everybody.
Let's see. I'm not sure what we'll close with tonight. Tell you what. Looks so good right here.
I stay connected to planet Earth.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Doug Wheelock. In my spare time on the space station, I stay connected to planet Earth through the ham radio. Through amateur radio, I tune into ZW5KUB. Hi, I'm Doug Wheelock, and in my spare time on the space station, I stay connected to planet Earth.
I don't have the live feed up.
I turn
I thought I was sending it back.
Why do I say turn into? Hi, I'm Doug Wheelock.
But
In my spare time
have you
on the
talked to
space
Colonel
station,
Wheelock since the lockdown started?
Did he
What
mess
is
up
he
again?
doing
Yeah.
through all of this?
Hi, I'm Doug
I don't know.
Wheelock. In my
We've
spare time
touched
on the
base a
space
couple
station,
times,
I
but,
stay connected to the planet by tuning in to W5KUB.
I don't know exactly what. I let him know that our trip's canceled this
My
year.
name is Doug Wheelock. In my spare time on the space station,
I let him know the
I
Huntsville's
stay
canceled.
connected
So.
to planet Earth.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. You know, I mean, with
Hi,
the
I'm
cases
Doug Wheelock.
going
In my
up.
spare time on the
I mean,
space
I'm
station, I stay
serious. I
connected to
think
planet
people
Earth.
talk.
Through the ham radio, through amateur radio, I tune into
Yeah, I think
W5KUB.
our audio is going out over Doug here.
Hi, I'm Doug
Anyway.
Wheelock, and in my spare time
All
on
right,
the
guys,
space
good night,
station,
everybody.
I stay connected to planet Earth by listening to amateur